That's sad.
Let's see.
You still have a nice background.
You do. I like your background.
Okay, I'll just go with that.
And you might be able to
Mountain climber.
You can just upload one in the chat, or you can just tell us about something that is funny as well.
Yes, we're trying to keep this very relaxed as possible. It's not about just being all corporate. I think when we're talking about self-care and are you okay? Are your employees okay? Or if you're an investor, are you okay? Are you what's going on? We want to keep it really a dialogue. So I'm really encouraging people to talk about what they're seeing in their business, what they've been seeing in the community, because that is the best way I can tailor this presentation. So we waited a couple minutes, we waited 4 minutes. Lindsay, do you want to wait a couple more to let people in?
Let's see, maybe we do quick introductions just while we're waiting. Since we don't have, too many, I think we could probably get through some introductions quickly. Or if you want to talk your background, Jackie.
Yes, I would love to do that. So I'm Jackie Johnson. I'm the owner of the Wildling Dream Consulting Group. And my background is very diverse. I've worked in just about every single industry that you could work in. So I've been in senior level management and kind of consulting for 16 years. I've worked from retail to pharmaceuticals to health and wellness, like with fitness and gyms. I've also worked for startup companies with people with hospitality. And I've even worked for like fitness federations and gyms. So I have a very diverse background, and my clients that I have, their backgrounds that I help them with is from restaurants to actual products that are trademark products and services. So this, whole thing is very dear to my heart because I've worked in so many backgrounds. And throughout all of this, like when I was coming up with the idea for this class, I just was thinking about all of the employees and past employers that have reached out to me since COVID has happened with all of these concerns, all of these issues, and trying to adapt their strategies. So that's a lot about me, not a little, just a lot. And Lindsay, hopefully you guys know who Lindsay is on here. So Lindsay, do you want to tell them a little about you?
Sure. My name is Lindsay Valdez, and I am the director of the Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation. And so we run a revolving loan fund is our kind of what we do. Our main purpose is the revolving loan fund. We do small business loans, and this is in Region 3 for the state. So it covers Gilpin and Clear Creek counties. So any business owners that are interested in Clear Creek or Gilpin, we've worked with dozens of businesses since the 80s doing these loans. We take on high risk loans as well. To just promote economic development in your communities. So then we also do a long list of other things as well that are a lot of fun to include this web series. So we're really excited to do this. This is our kickoff meeting. Again, we're keeping it informal. Grab a glass of wine. We'll try to have something fun every time going on. And we're planning on doing 6 sessions, and they'll be every Wednesday except for the week of Thanksgiving. And if you go to our website, clearcreekedc.org, and at the top it says COVID-19 accreditation, we're working with Clear Creek County on a business accreditation program. So these web courses will be part of that accreditation. But we have a calendar there, and we'll continue to update it with great educational tools and work sessions like this one for you as well. So thank you for joining, and feel free to promote this with any of your friends. It's open to everyone. We have no intention of charging for this moving forward. So we want it to be a free tool for people to use to help them get through these COVID challenges that we are all in together. So.
All right, I think we just had Terry come in, so she didn't hear everything starting out, but we're just doing introductions. Since we are getting further into the time, I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if you want to drop in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and talk more about what you do so I can tailor this presentation a little better. I think it's important for me to know who's here so I know exactly who I'm talking to. So Terry, do you want to tell a little about yourself?
Sure. I am located in Idaho Springs, and my business is primary care. So I have a primary care practice, and I am seeing a lot of people, and as well as myself, as well as my family, who have struggled during this pandemic. So I am all ears on any ideas and techniques and tools and things that we can learn to help ourselves, help our loved ones, and just try to reach the end of this pandemic.
Right, right. And Gail, do you want to introduce yourself or just say hello?
Sure. I'm Gail Sharp. I don't know if can you see my video?
Yes.
Can you see me?
You look
Okay,
fantastic.
Great. Okay, great. For some reason, I can't see me, which is great. I love not seeing me. Name is Gail Sharp. I've owned Tallgrass Aveda Spa Salon for 25 years. We just had our anniversary. And I came from corporate America in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and wanted to move to change my life, to do more self-care. And one of the reasons why I opened a spa. So it is my mission in life, in addition to inspire our customers and our guests, it's also to take care of our team. And so this is a perfect opportunity to chat with all of you guys about self-care. And certainly I don't profess to be an expert. My business is focused on that, however, so I guess I do have some, at least a few years of experience with it. So I'm glad to be here.
Great. And if anybody else wants to share who they are, feel free to unmute. If not, I'll just get started. So if everybody mutes, I'm going to assume no one wants to chat. All right, I'm looking through really quick. I don't see any takers. So I have a Kimberly raised a hand. So would you like to speak?
Yeah.
Oop.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm a new business owner. I launched a hiking and guided snowshoe business in Georgetown this year, and because I love sharing the outdoors, and I think that's a great way to self-care. But being that I am a new business owner, I'm curious, like, what things work, because I'm having to learn so many things from the ground up, like marketing, bookkeeping, pricing, those kinds of things. But yet I feel entirely comfortable like going outdoors and getting fresh air, and I feel healthy, and I encourage everybody to get outdoors and feel healthy. So I'm very excited to meet all of you and learn from you.
Well, this is good because this is the one of 6, and we'll be talking about branding and marketing and how to stand out in a crowd and all in the next session. So that is so good to hear on feedback. But we're going to dive into are your employees okay? Are you okay? So just a little background on why it's not just about an owner or an investor, because in a business, there's so many different parts of the business. Everybody has to be all in sync for everything to work. So if your employees aren't okay, that is actually a direct reflection of upper management and ownership. Those are those big, tough pills to swallow because people are like, it's just chaos and chaos. Well, that's a reflection of what's happening at upper, because people reflect what they see up in the upper management hierarchy. So that is how this whole entire presentation is going to be about. It's not just going to be geared to one person. It's going to be about a team and collective. like Lindsay said at the beginning in her introduction, we really are in this together. And the only way we can get through this is to get strategies together.
And Jackie, I have the workbook. If everyone looks in their chat, you can download the PDF workbook is in there.
And we'll cover this as well. This is recorded, so you'll get the replay of it. It'll be on the CCEDC website. So you'll have access to it in the workbook for evergreen, which means forever. So if you just do want to listen, I kept the presentation very basic, so because I really want to engage and for you guys to hear what I'm saying. We have all went to a presentation and they have a whole bunch of words and we end up writing a bunch of notes. And then we're like, did I even hear, did I even hear what people are saying? So that is my communication style and what I've learned in my management career to how to communicate. So again, special thanks to CCEDC for putting this together and getting more strategies for the community. I did tell a little about myself. I am a business strategist and a brand strategist. That is what I love. That's what I do. And my background is very diverse. Like I said, all the way from health and wellness to working in the corporate world, like places like Walgreens, CVS Pharmacy, working for Guest Prep, which is a very large hospitality company. I've worked for startups, IBJJF, which is a huge world international, I guess global too, martial arts federation. I've worked in every single background. So these are things that I have picked up along the way. And I really want to share more things with you about it. So we're going to talk about tools, not just for the employer, but for the employee. I think right now we hear a lot of people just saying, well, the employer needs to do this, the employer needs to do this, well, the employer needs to do this, but they're leaving out the employee and what they need to do and what the employee's actually feeling at home. So this first part, I'm going to have Kara and Chelsea come on because we have Jefferson Center with, keeping our health and wellness in mind, our mental health, and they have some great resources. And this is local resources for the community that we need. I think it's important that we keep some of this stuff local because we can get more resources to you. So if Kara, you're unmuting yourself, and I'm gonna make sure everyone's unmuted. Yep, and you're unmuted as well. They're going to share with you some just great tools and resources for an employer and employee that you can do right now in the county.
That's great. Well, thank you. My name's Kara Campbell, and I'm the manager of Mountain Services for Jefferson Center. So I kind of oversee the programs that run in both Clear Creek and Gilpin. Jefferson Center has been serving, we have Jeffco, Clear Creek and Gilpin counties. We've grown quite large, but my focus is on Clear Creek and Gilpin. I just pulled some numbers today, and just in this year, 2020 so far, we have helped and served over 800 folks in Clear Creek County. And so it's very likely that somebody that's working with you or your family or somebody is aware and have used our services before. Just curious, who on the call has heard of Jefferson Center? We got 1, 2, oh, look at the hands. Okay, happy to see that. All right, so I'm excited to share with you a little bit today about what we have just in general, and then I'm going to pass it to Chelsea Vibert, who is heading our Colorado Spirit program, which is also something that's going to last through June. She can talk more about that. So typically what we have, what we've had pre-COVID is we offered outpatient services located at the Resource Center. We were at the Centura office, the clinic there. But currently those are all telehealth. And what we've seen is that we're getting more people engaged via telehealth almost than we were before, because people are really enjoying being able to call from home or from their lunch break or after work, and you're not having to worry about transportation to come in. So the services actually have opened up. So because we had fewer services available, like in Idaho Springs or Gilpin, now you can have any service that's anywhere. So Oh, we also have 2 clinicians at the jail and then clinicians at the schools as well. So we serve all ages, all payer sources. If you have no insurance, will find a way to serve you how you need, where you want, when you want is kind of like what we're going for here. And we see people who are on an entire spectrum. And so people that are going through a hard time, right? COVID, pandemic, I think that pretty much encompasses everybody. Our lives all look very different now than they did a year ago. And our home lives, our work lives, they're all very, very different. And so if you just want to process what's happening and the changes with somebody, or if you're experiencing grief of some sort, which I think we all are, feeling some grief as well, all the way to folks that have serious and persistent mental illness. So it's a range of payers. We can see anybody, any age. So you can get in touch with any of our programs through our main number. So if you have questions at all, I did give Jackie and Lindsay some copies of what all we have available, and then the Colorado Spirit, and then also there's another group I want to give a shout out to, which is the Clear Creek Community Connectors, and they also have a lot of resources more on the side of basic needs like housing, shelter, food, because it's not just about how you're feeling, it's also about what's going on in your life and making sure you have resources. Because if you're not able to pay the bills, that's going to put some stress on you. So it's all connected, and we really want to provide those wraparound services. I'm trying to see here. It's nice to hear a lot of you have already used the word self-care. Not everybody understands it. It's kind of a buzzword that's thrown around all over the place now, but it's really looking at the different dimensions of your life. Like, how is your mental health? How is your spiritual health, sexual health? How are your relationships? They're all pretty strained. And so it's really good to be mindful about, I guess, just taking an inventory of your life and how it's different now compared to a year ago, and what's different. Some things may be better. I'm home. It's really great because I'm home with my daughter, but it also brings other challenges as well along with that. And so just really trying to break it apart and understanding that you're not only going through this, but all of your employees and people you work with, they all have different things going on. And so people are a little on edge. People, are more quick to upset or are more high strung. And so if we're understanding and promoting wellness in our homes and at the places where we're employed, it really will help reduce the burnout, right? So you're not turning over employees, you're not having to let go of employees because they're not showing up, but maybe it's because they need some resources that the community connectors can help with, or they need to talk to somebody for a couple times and they can speak with somebody from Colorado Spirit, or if they need psychiatric care, people can meet with our doctors this way virtually now, or if people need intensive services for substance use disorder, we are seeing people are using a lot more and relapsing. It's the isolation that does it. And so people do have access to more programs now via virtually than they did beforehand. So we're very excited about that. I guess, do you have questions about Jefferson Center, or what we can do, or basic thoughts about what do you do for self-care? I hear snowshoeing is one, which is great. Massage, great. Any other ideas or questions?
Got a quiet group. I'm going to look through. I see the eyes searching, so I have to scroll.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's one of those things we can probably go over to Chelsea and have another slide about the resources and what that really looks like. And I can do this. I'm trying to move things around. So you guys have just the ways that people can call you 365 days a year, 24/7, and that could be call, text, walk-ins, and you touched on that. So I really want people to know we have stuff right up the street. I-70 is our street in my mind, right up the street, to talk about these things. So even if everyone is not, understanding, but I hear see some comments on journaling, doing exercise, Netflix. Yes,
Yeah.
those are things
Okay.
that's the new self-care, Netflix.
Yeah.
We're catching up on all of the movies, all of the things. So did Chelsea want to say something more about the resources kind of with Colorado Spirit?
Can I pop one thing into
Yeah.
this Colorado Crisis Services? One of the walk-in centers, the one that's on Wadsworth, is run by Jefferson Center. But this number, we've kind of set something up with Colorado Crisis Services, where if you call in and you let the person know you're from Clear Creek County, this call service will connect you with one of our walk-in clinicians, and so it's kind of nice because we can really communicate with what's going on, and we can outreach somebody back. You can also ask, instead of being on the phone, when you talk with one of our walk-in clinicians, you can say, I'd really rather see somebody's face, and they'll send you a Zoom link so that you can talk with somebody, virtually face to face as well.
See, and that is such like we're saying, we're not just talking about resources. They've actually had just the strategies to make it work for you. And I think that is one thing that a lot of people are missing. They're like, I want to see the person. I already hear people on the phone. I want to be able to see you, or I need to be able to come in. And that's why all the resources in this presentation are local, because we want you to have a connection locally. When you need something, we want to have someone locally to be dispatched on your behalf. So I think that is so good you talked about that, Kara.
Well, and we really try to hire local clinicians because they know and they live in the community. They're passionate about the community. Their kids go to the schools. And so we are the community that we're providing services for. So it makes a difference.
That's great. That's so great, because it's like a lot of people, like everyone here knows that resource is here, but there's probably some people in the community that don't. So we're trying to add some things in the chat, but since I'm on my presentation view, I cannot drop in the files. So on CCEDC's website, we're going to have the forms and all of this for employers and employees, so you guys can print these things out and have them. And like I said, on the website, everything will be available evergreen, so it will always be there.
So great for break rooms, bathrooms.
Yes, print it out, be there. Because even putting it in a bathroom, you may actually have a customer or someone that's there that may see it and need this resource as well.
Sorry, my husband's trying to jump on, so I had to step away for a second. But you had mentioned, Kara, that you're actually seeing an increase in employees calling in. So this might be something that, sorry, I'm homesick, so I'm like not articulating very well today. But we're already seeing employees utilizing this service. People are clearly in need of it. So the more we can get the information out to our employees, to our managers, the better. And I have friends that have used Jefferson Center, and I mean, it's just such a great service to have available.
I totally agree. And like you said, employees are already using this service. Employers are already using this service. So we're doing a disservice if we're not posting it. Like we're really doing the community a disservice. So I'm glad that you talked more about that as well. Does Chelsea want to say something, Kara? I'm going to look and.
Yes, I'll jump in real quick. So Colorado Spirit is a newer program. Jefferson Center is our official home, but we are a response when a state declares an emergency. There are federal dollars that are opened up to run a crisis counseling program, which is where our team came in. So I'm our clinical team lead. And our work looks sort of adjacent to what Jefferson Center does. I think for this pandemic, there are a lot of people who feel like maybe they don't quite need a counselor to see them for the next 3-6 months, maybe even a year or longer. They just are feeling overwhelmed. They'd like to build up their coping skills, be reminded of their own resiliency, maybe get plugged into some of those local community resources. have some new opportunities to connect with people around them. And that's really where our team steps in. And I think also for this group, something that we're working on is sort of like a business wellness plan where we can come in and our team can help you guys talk about, and we're sort of focusing on the 5 dimensions of wellness. So emotional, social, intellectual, physical, and spiritual, and really breaking it down into, we will have lots of different ways in which we can engage. We can Zoom in if you guys would like for us to come on to a team meeting and just talk with your employees or even you as an individual about what those wellness areas look like in your life and how self-care really translates to wellness, and as a business owner and for your employees, and really creating a culture of wellness. That's what we are hoping to do and sort of step into that space. But really, our big thing is just being used as needed by the community. And we've seen that that's a lot of sort of coming in and giving talks to local businesses or local nonprofits, just stepping into space where groups are already gathering and wanting information. We step in and sort of fill that gap. So if people on this call would be interested in having us come and talk to your employees or do some kind of smaller intimate thing where we talk about wellness or we help build in resiliency for your immediate community at your work, that would be fantastic. And I would love to connect with you, our flyers included. And we are directly in response to COVID. So this is right up our alley and our sort of specialty in regards to mental health. We're all professionals or paraprofessionals that would love to connect individually or through your organization.
That is so good. I mean, like, I'm always like, oh, that's just so many great resources. But even right now, you guys can actually chat privately. If you drop her your name, your email address, do that. And again, all of this is going to be on the website, on CCEDC's website. So you will always have this information and these resources. And again, like she said, she's local. So it's not going to be someone that's going to be like, oh, we'll get back to you in 72 hours. There's going to be a quick and rapid response. So Kira, is there anything you wanted to add to that before we move on?
No, other than just I'm available to talk about anything. People can reach out to me, employers, employees, just if you want to get more information about the specific services that are available in the mountains. I will know most of the answers, and if I don't, I'll get it for you. So I'm a good contact for mountain services. Or if you just have general, our main number is fine too. But yeah, I'm here for anything.
Great. All right. So I'm going to move on. Let me see if they'll let me move on. Okay. So this poster we have all seen, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So we've seen it all around the county that we're staying the course, we're staying safe, and we see, you know, keep 6 feet, wear a mask, wash your hands. But I'm going to talk about this a little deeper because people are wearing masks, but we're supposed to be wearing masks properly. And you see people with them all peeked out or whatever, or you see people wearing dirty masks. The thing about mask is it's there to keep you clean, everyone else clean. So please wear a clean mask. If they're washable, please wash them. Like even, you know, if you have a cold, you don't want to be reinfecting yourself just with a common cold, wearing a dirty mask. So that is one thing that I've seen in my past employers that I've reached out and I've did some training with them and past employees. That is a common thing, especially if you're in the restaurant industry or if you're working with people in hospice or in those nursing home facilities. Please make sure that they are wearing clean masks, you are wearing clean mask. It doesn't mean just a mask. And washing hands properly, running your hands underwater. You see the little flicky, I'm dry. That's not what we're going for here. I know I see some laughing here. I'm looking through and the smiles. That is not what we're going for. So you actually do need to wash your hands. I don't sing happy birthday. I always have like a little jam that makes sense for me. But please make sure you're washing your hands. And then I'm going to talk about water in general. This is self-care. This is health and wellness. If you're trying to keep your body and good pH and good not get dehydrated, you need to drink water. This is the time more than ever you need to be drinking water. That is just basic health and wellness that is being skipped. I don't ever see it on a lot of the posters, but what I am seeing is a lot of people sweating because they're wearing the mask. They're breathing heavier. So you have to drink water because your body is going under different changes. It's not necessarily the lack of oxygen, which is what we're hearing a lot about, but water is essential for survival. Please drink water. If you have employees, encourage them to drink water. I see people like kind of like, what in the world? Like, why wouldn't you be drinking water? This sounds fairly basic, but those things. And on to the employers. With a lot of the things that I've seen throughout COVID, a lot of people do not have a sick policy clearly posted anywhere. So a lot of people are like, well, if I get COVID, I don't even know if I have sick time. I don't even know what time I can use on leave if I do have COVID. These things need to be clearly posted for your employees. So your management, the ownership needs to be talking about it. The management needs to be talking about it. The employee needs to be aware of it, and it needs to be posted.
I think that's a good point, Jackie. Stress is so prevalent right now, especially. But if an employee has to stress about, oh, what if I do get sick? And unfortunately, in this country, I think just this culture of, oh, I'm sick, I still have to go to work. Right. And COVID has blown that up. Like, oh my God, if you're sick, absolutely 100% do not show up. But I think it's important for employers, managers to talk to their employees so they understand the sick policy, maybe even have a form that employees are signing. So you have that on file showing that they know what is available to them. So they don't have to stress about it or feel that kind of cultural pressure that, oh, I still have to go to work even when I'm feeling badly.
Yes, and that's the next point. I love that Lindsay brought that up, because if people are unsure, they're just going to be in survival mode. Because we went past 2 months, we're getting into the 7, 8, 9 months. People are in survival mode. So when people are getting to the point they have to think, if I don't go to work, I can't afford my place to live, I can't pay my bills, I can't feed my children. That's when you start seeing these different attitudes and seeing signs of stress in your workplace. So clearly telling people this is a sick time that's going to be used. Your job is still going to be reserved for the 14 days or when you come back with a negative test. That stuff has to be clearly articulated, not clearly assumed. Well, why would they think that? Because I had a couple of my clients talk about that. Well, why would they think that? I'm like, well, why would they not? You haven't articulated or posted any of these things for them to feel safe and secure in their job and employment, which goes into the decline in mental health. If you're feeling unsure, it just adds more on top of it. Even like the cleaning procedures, people are like, well, it's COVID, why wouldn't they be cleaning? It's posted. But how often have you been checking in that the cleaning procedures are happening? Are people wiping down the tables? Are people washing their hands? Yes, it's common sense. We want to assume that, but we need to be taking it to the next level. All this stuff needs to be clearly posted. Someone needs to be clearly, responsible. So the key to a lot of these things is if it's posted, then it can be enforced. If you're assuming, you're really making a butt out of yourself. No one's gonna assume that we're all on the same page unless it's articulated. And having a clear COVID-19 protocol. Because some people are like, well, I have sick days, that's what I would use. I'm like, some companies have actually developed leave just for COVID specific, that's securing people's job. And they have different ways that they can do that. Some of them are offering, if you're in a salary position, they're offering pay or work from home options and things like that. Like we said, some people are working fully at home and remote now. Some people are still going in. Some people are working a staggered schedule. But even if that is happening, it needs to be clearly posted. And I always get to the legal part of everything because that's the way I look. And I've been in so many HR nightmares, unemployment nightmares. If you do not have things clearly posted and articulated legally, you are probably putting yourself in a situation you don't want to be in. So if you're saying, well, why weren't they doing that? I had to let them go because they weren't cleaning. If it's not posted, this is to my employers and to my investor kind of people, please articulate that and put it in writing. Like Lindsay said, have people write down that they've read it, or you have talked to them about it and they understand what is there. Because there's a huge disconnect right now in communication. People are winging it. They didn't think that COVID was going to be this long. So now we have the wing it syndrome, that it's like, well, you know, this is going to be done. This is going to be done in a week or so. So I don't need to clearly articulate that, because it's going to be done soon. And I see a lot of nodding of heads. I see Lindsay, I see Kara, I see a lot of people like, and these are probably things that even Kara hears and their center, like people are like, they just assumed I knew, or I didn't know it was going to be this way. And the uncertainty adds stress into the workplace. So I, you know, for my employers or people, like, has this list been done in your establishment? If you're an entrepreneur and you have an employee, even if it's one, I don't even care if it's a contractor, 1099, have you articulated what your standards are and what your protocols are? This is the time, it's not too late. You need to articulate this. And if you have not implemented all of these things, or do you have a plan for implementation of these things? And I'm not talking about tomorrow or next week, after this, and even in the workbook. Write down your plan to implement these things to create a clean and safe work environment, but also a stress-free work environment.
Something else, Jackie, too, is just making sure that employees are taking their breaks. I know sometimes,
and that's on the next one. So girl, you're right there. I love it. I love it. No, but I love that, Lindsay, because that shows that you have thought about these things in your establishment, in your workplace. You were creating a setting that you were thinking about, how can I promote wellness? Like, how can I promote it? And, you know, I have the person with the temperature here. Not everybody's job is doing that. I do have clients that every single time they come in, they have to check everyone's temperature. They actually have the temperature things, like the archway, to come in into the establishment. But how are you keeping that stress level down? How are you making it a good place to work? So ensuring breaks that are taken, paid and unpaid, because you may have the 10-minute unpaid that people are just like, well, I always skip that, or I add it on to my lunch. That's the typical, that's the management nightmare. I added it on to my, make sure they're doing it. So at that 2.5 hours, they need to be taking those breaks, because they need to be hydrated, like we talked about before. They need to get some fresh air, go out there and maybe get some clarity on what's going on. And Karen,
we actually set up a wellness stations in our offices. So it's just a small little station, and we have some like essential oils and a self-care checklist and a little journal where people can write things that they're grateful for. You know, probably the things you see at Tallgrass, you know. So if somebody's like in between seeing clients, or they just have a few minutes, you go to this. We have little sayings up. You just spend a few minutes, like literally 2 minutes, and it really does kind of switch your mind frame to say like, okay, I'm ready for this next meeting, or I'm ready to go back on the floor, or, you know, whatever you're thinking. So it just requires a tiny space, and people are really liking it.
See, and I love that. There you go. You guys just got a good nugget of knowledge of how to implement it and what they're doing at their space. So
Gail, when I toured Tallgrass, Gail has this really cool wall where I'm trying to remember what it was, where you had your employees write something that they were happy about for the day or something and post it on a board.
Oh, nice. I think she's like, she may still be muted, but she was going to talk later on. So
yeah, I can talk later, but it is about their goals, their lifetime goals. Not at Tallgrass, just what a lot of them are, I want to buy a house, or I'd like to retire, or learn how to play the guitar, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, but that all is promoting wellness, because right now people are feeling disconnected. The people they're working with is probably the people they're seeing the most, because they're probably not seeing their family. They're probably not seeing their friends. They're probably not doing any of those things. So it's very important that we are making a place that we're promoting wellness, and not just talking to people or talking at them. I think that's what, and I'll talk more about that, but learning to recognize verbal and nonverbal cues of stress. So this is something I know it sounds like I specialize in, but I have a scenario here, like a stressful work environment, managers doing their job, has a team of 20 plus people, and they start noticing an employee is starting to come to work later and later. Or they're there on time. There's another employee that's there on time, but just doesn't seem mentally with it, not as happy as what they normally are interacting with the crew. And one day, this manager notices that one of these employees is not on the floor, and it's their scheduled time to be on the floor to do a certain task. And the actual manager goes back to the back room and sees the employee. And this is a very true story. Sees the employee, and the employee is actually was about to commit suicide, actually at the job. So, and that manager had to talk that person down. They knew if they had to leave the situation to call some help, that person would probably lose their life, because the person is shaking and they understand that they're in high levels of stress. And people say, is this a true story? Yes, it's true. And I actually was that manager. I was that manager that walked in that situation and saw someone that was literally shaken down to the core. And that is what we're seeing. That's what Kara and Chelsea are seeing, is a lot of people are in survival mode. They're just trying to make it. And I'm saying this story pretty well together right now, but in that time, this was like 6-7 years ago, I was like, I have to do something. I'm like, at this point, this person was like, you're going to remember me if something happens. You're the only one that cares. And this is the atmosphere that people don't really think about. They're like, well, they showed up to work, they did their job. Everybody is kind of in a survival mode now. So every time that we see a verbal cue of this sucks, and we used to just write it off, we need to be thinking more, hey, how you doing? As a manager, hey, how are you doing? This does kind of suck. What's going on? What can I fix? Do you have all of the resources you need? When we hear those things like, oh my gosh, and those are just verbal cues of, I am frustrated. That's when we need to be saying, hey, what's going on? Or, oh yeah, this is really bad. Like, what's going on here? Okay, this needs to change. So recognizing those verbal cues can be great, but even the nonverbal cues, coming in late, just like, or you're talking to them and they're like all slouched out, or they look like, big bags under their eyes, and you're not seeing the light and the spark in people. Those are the things that we need to start looking for more than ever when it comes to all of the health and wellness. Because I think at the most part, people are just like, well, if someone needs something, they're going to articulate it, but they are articulating it. It may be verbal and it may be nonverbal. So in the workbook, it talks about verbal and nonverbal cues. I gave you some actual situations and some examples, but at your job, or even verbal cues for yourself, if you work by yourself and you're working at home, if you hear yourself saying those things, that is a time that you need to take a break and do some self-care. If you feel those signs of stress, even if you're working on your own at home, then you need to figure something out with that, because that can overlap into a stressful atmosphere. It can create ways of stress that you really don't want to be dealing with. And I'm going to see if anybody has any questions or any feedbacks on that, on there about that. So I see people trying to unmute. So I didn't know if they were cleaning screens or unmuting, but so
I just say that, yeah, like the isolation is what we're processing with people a whole lot. And exactly what you said, they aren't seeing their friends and family, but they're seeing their colleagues and their bosses. And even if they don't want to share kind of the depths of what's going on with them, you can easily read if you're seeing somebody change. Their personalities are different. Sometimes just asking what's new will open the floodgates.
Right, because someone's not usually asking. So those are on the promote wellness. And on communication, everybody communicates differently, and everybody has a different learning style. So at your place of work, like I've been talking about communication and understanding those verbal and nonverbal cues, That is important. So people like to see things, they may want to hear things, they may want to do it, or a combination of both. And this is a time, even though we're in mask, even though everything has changed, we need to make sure we're communicating properly to our employees and to ourselves. And I think we've been like, oh, we're just communicating to employees, and they heard what I said. Well, hearing and listening is two different things, unfortunately, but they're not the same. And if your employee is articulating something to you, you need to be listening and doing something about it. Right now, a lot of people are feeling like they're not being heard, and that is causing immense amounts of frustration with everyone right now. So it's very important that we are communicating, seeing, hearing, doing something about it as communication. And I wanted to have Gail kind of talk about what she's been doing at her place of employment. They've been open over 25 years, or just had their anniversary for 25 years. And I think that is just spectacular. And she's creating an atmosphere right here in our community. And I think I'm going to try to ask her to unmute, if she can unmute. And I want her to share what she has been doing to create a positive work environment.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. And just in case it's not really that important, but if you're looking for me online or you want to call me, my name is actually Gail Sharp. So just so you know, it's okay. But, I think Tallgrass was formed 25 years ago because of all of us needed stress relief, not just a haircut or nails done, or even a massage for a muscle that's sore. Stress relief is what we were formed on. And I think there's some gentlemen in on the calls today too, but I will say women in general are the last to take care of themselves. It's kind of where our business was formed, even though we do take care of lots of men too. Women often take care of their families first, their children, their husbands, their mom, their dad, everyone, and their siblings. So Tallgrass is formed on self-care. And, I think there's two different things to talk about, and I'm just going to touch briefly on one. There's one for all of you on the call, is taking care of yourself. And I think that is the first thing you need to do before you can help your employees or your kids or anybody else. This is the point. It's self-care, right? It's taking care of yourself. And, we often think that's selfish and we should focus on someone else. But I'm here to tell you, unless you take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else very well. So please spend the time to do that. And it's not necessary. It's lovely to come to Tallgrass. I invite you. It'd be awesome to have you there, but you can do it very easily on your own in a variety of ways. Some of the things that we do at Tallgrass, we encourage meditation. We opened a room at Tallgrass specifically just for meditation. It's for to go and be quiet. Now, granted, a lot of our guests come and they want to chat with each other and enjoy a day together. But there's also the times when you want to come, you just need quiet. And I think for all of us, quiet is something we don't have. There's social media, there's TV, there's kids, there's stimulation coming all the time. So in our meditation room, we actually made, and I encourage you guys to do it too, we have a bunch of different meditation cards, and they have a picture on one side, and we encourage you to just walk in, pick a picture of the card that appeals to you on that day. For whatever reason, there are all sorts of different looks, and you pick one, and then on the other side, there is a meditation, and it's just what is meant for you that day. There's a variety of ways you can do that. I mean, there's all sorts of cards that you can pick up at a store that, you pick a card and that's the thing that you need to do. I highly encourage that. Starting off your day that way is something that we really promote at Tallgrass, both for our guests and our staff. We have approximately 50 staff members right now after COVID. We did have when we were fully staffed and things weren't constricted, we had 90. So we do have a lot of team members, and it's important that we support each other. And I think the first way that I do that as an owner and our managers is we recognize each other a lot and thank each other a lot. We have an award within our company called Above and Beyond, and each staff member can give it to another staff member. It's not just a manager giving it to a manager. And I think we all need recognition and thank yous. And wow, I saw you do that. That's awesome. And sometimes a manager doesn't see that, so it's neat if you could just have somebody else within there, and then they get prizes for this, and there's all sorts of extra recognition. So I encourage you, those with employees, to do that. Of course, we do all the self-care things that you were talking about, Cara, that we have essential oils, and we have all of our employees get a variety of complimentary services, and we encourage them to use the meditation room while they're there. Breaks and all that are critical. With COVID, we have special meditation areas for our employees because they're giving all the time, right? That's what our team does, is give their energy, their TLC, their care. And that takes a lot from you. And I think most of you on this call are giving to other people. And as wonderful as it is, it can be exhausting at the same time. So that's where self-care comes back to. And I agree with you too, Jackie, the drinking water, the eating right, the exercise, all the things, but all those things fall under self-care. Of course, if you have the opportunity to come and take some time and get a massage, that's incredible, but not everybody can do that. They can't do it all the time, right? I mean, some people can, and don't we all wish we were them? But we recognize at Tallgrass that people can't do that all the time, so it's miniature ways to take care of yourself, and it has to be on a daily, consistent basis. And I heard once, and the last thing I'll say is, a gentleman said, I always make sure that I sit and do quiet time for half an hour every morning. Meditation, some type of prayer, whatever, however you want to call it. Just half an hour every morning. He said, unless I have a super packed, crazy day that day, and then I do it for an hour. So it's a half an hour. If you're not super busy, it's an hour if you are. And that's where you just have to get that discipline. And I promise all of you, it will really help. It'll pay huge dividends. So I hope to see you at Tallgrass otherwise, but until then, take care of yourselves.
That is so great, Gail. It's just that, but self-care daily. If you didn't hear anything she just said, you got to do something daily. It's not a couple days a week or when it's convenient. And when you're having a stressful day, that's the time you need to do more self-care, not less. Not less. So thank you, Gail, for sharing that with everyone. And so we're coming to the end of everything. And I'm going to move this over. I have to keep moving the screen stuff over. But I want to talk to owners, investors specifically. People are always saying I'm an encourager, but I just really want to do this specifically for them. And yet, so we had a new entrepreneur on here. You have to have confidence in your brand. And that means, do you really believe in what you're doing and why you got started? So this time right now, especially with people's incomes being lower, or they were on the fast track with their jobs and their careers, you need to really dive deep and explore those things. So if you have your own business, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, remember why you started. Think of everything that's on your plate. How do you feel about what's going on right now? Write that down, not just mentally work it out, write it down. And then remember why you started that business. We all have a unique thing to give. We have our passions, and we have the reasons why we did it. It may be for legacy. It may be because our family had a health event, so that's why we got into this healthcare industry. We may be a restaurant owner because we're like, I just got tired of crappy food and I knew I could make better and give it better to the community. And then some people are just like, I just rather take care of older people, because when I get older, I just want someone to take care of me and love on me. And we don't all have a family network. And also for the employees, are your employees feeling stressed? I talked about this a little in the beginning. If your employees are feeling stressed, it's usually a direct thing of their environment and the environment they have at work. And I'm just speaking from experience of being able to talk to employees that are like stressed out. They're like, man, I'm actually de-stressed when I come to work because I actually feel like I can talk to you about it, or I just feel like at least here everything's going to go right. So be confident that this is temporary. I know people keep calling it the new normal. I am hoping that this is not the new normal of being in Zoom and looking at people's children on Zoom and that being the interactions. But right now, that's what's happening. But this is, I believe, is temporary. So I want to give you guys some words of encouragement that if you're doing the things that we talked about in the slide, things that Gail talked about, Lindsay, Kara, Chelsea, you guys are going to be all right. We're a community and we really are here together, and we can overcome this together. So we have a few minutes, I think like 2 minutes, if anybody has any questions. If you don't have any questions, that's fine. If you have some, please unmute. I'd love to hear it, or you can drop it in the chat. I'm all like scrolling through. I see a lot of, I'm good. So I have something in the chat that's going off. Let me double check. Oh, we do need to vote. So the vote for the best background was Kimberly. So you have won a massage. So you will be at talk. She's all, what? Yes, what? Yes, you have won a massage. So go get your self-care. And Lindsay will reach out to you, and she's clapping. She will be reaching out to you so you can get your free massage. So you're on your self-care way. See, you just won something and you didn't even have to ask a question.
Thank you. I couldn't even change my background. That's just.
Hey, you got a cute background and that's what counts. So we appreciate you guys coming out, and on here as well, I have all the contact information for me and for Lindsay. So everything is going to be online. Like I said, evergreen. So clearcreekedc.org. There is going to be a section on the website that you can have the workbook and this presentation and everything we talked about. So I appreciate you guys coming this evening. I know it was kind of late, but hey, you can consider this your self-care for today. And thank you, Kara, for speaking, and Gail and Chelsea. I really do appreciate that.
So, and I wanted to just promote next week. So Wednesday, is that the 18th? We're going to be doing another session, same time, 5:30 to 6:30 with Jackie, and we'll be looking at making your business stand out in the crowd and looking at branding. So we're excited about that one. And Kimberly, if you want to, actually, let's see, I should have your email. And then if Gail, I will reach out to you as well so we can coordinate and you can set up your massage, Kimberly. And we will be trying to do fun little things like this with every session. It will probably actually be self-care related with every session, just because it's that much, it's so incredibly important, juggling all of so many new things and just daily things. So again, thank you guys so much for participating. Tell your friends, and we hope to see you back here next week.
Yes, you guys have a good evening.
Thank you. It was awesome.
All right, bye you guys.